Hi there, I'm Vincent Bos and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing your dumper is running out of time. I provide audio coaching for breakup recovery, trying to get an ex back, attracting someone new, and life coaching. Visit www.datetome.tips for more details. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. Check out my socials for extra content. The links are in the description. So now let's get back into today's podcast. And today we are discussing your dumper is running out of time. So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, you probably worry that you're running out of time to reconnect. But what if it's actually them who should be worried? In today's podcast, I'll be discussing 3 reasons why your ex-dumper is running out of time. So let's get straight into this, and point number 1 is R.E.A. R-I-A. So what exactly does this mean? What is R.E.A? Well, the first reason that your dumper is running out of time is because you are going through R.E.A. So let's break down what this actually means. So first of all, is the letter R. R for R.E.A. And what does that stand for in point number 1? Well, that is recover. And that is because you as a dumpee are recovering right now. Now you might think, well, I don't feel like I'm recovering. I feel like I'm going through hell every single day. But the reality is you're a day closer to recovery. Every time you wake up, you're a day closer. You are a step closer to getting into the light of happiness and recovering. So even if you don't really feel it right now, you're on that path. As soon as you've been hurt as badly as you have been, you are slowly but surely, in tiny, teeny little steps, recovering every single day. And you might not notice it day to day or week to week, but when you look back over months, which unfortunately you're very unlikely to have got your ex back before a few months. So even if you do reconnect, whether you do or whether you don't, you'll probably have that opportunity to reflect back over a number of months and think, yes, I have made some progress. Now, don't get me wrong, you might still be struggling. Unfortunately, some people are really going through the grind even beyond a year. But what I am saying is that even if you are feeling but it's still very, very difficult a few months later, I'm sure you'll be able to say to yourself, but I have made a few small steps. I would suggest that you are in a better place, even if just minutely a few months down the line than you were on the day of the breakup. So you are going through recovery. So that is the letter R for R.E.A. But what is the second letter? Well, that is an I, and that is improve. So you're going through recovery, but you are also going through improvement. And even if you think, well, I haven't really done anything post-breakup, well, you're listening to today's podcast. So that is a step in the right direction. Whether or not you've taken action on self-improvement, well, I can't say for certain, but I would suggest that even the action of listening to today's podcast is a step in the right direction. It is going to get you to that point of where you do take those actionable steps of actually improving your life in a physical and mental sense. Whether you are going to be improving your health and fitness, whether you're going to be improving your education, your skill set, your creativity, and many, many other possibilities, you will get to that point because you're listening to today's podcast. That is the initial step. That is giving you the outline, the game plan, the motivation. And this is what is so important about point number 1, about R.E.A. You're recovering, you're improving, but there is still something else that you're going to be doing as well on the back of that, and that is A, which stands for attract. And this is why R.E.A. is such a great concept for you as a dumpee, and this is why it's point number 1 regarding why your ex-dumper is running out of time. Because you're not just recovering, you're not just improving, but you will be attracting. And it goes in that order. You have to recover before you can improve, and you have to improve before you can attract. But when you get to that point you will be attracting not just theoretically your ex, but other people as well. And that's the concept of your dumper running out of time. If you don't get them back, you will find someone even better. And the reason you will is because you are growing your attraction net. When you connected with your ex for the first time, you were a version 1 of yourself. There would have been people that perhaps you would have liked to have dated, but to be frank, they were out of your league. They were out of your grasp. You couldn't attract certain people when you and your ex got together. You were version 1. You threw out your attraction net out to sea and you attracted your ex within it. But beyond that net, there were people that you couldn't connect with. They just sadly weren't interested, but that's fine because you were happy with your ex. But when you recover, which allows you to then start to improve, you will become a version 2.0 of yourself, which means your attraction net has grown, which means there are now people that you can attract that previously you couldn't. People who back in the day when you met your ex just wouldn't have looked twice at you, now they will. So now when you throw your attraction net out to sea, not only could you connect with your ex theoretically again, but there are going to be people beyond your ex, whether they are more physically attractive than your ex, whether they are smarter than your ex, whether they are more interesting than your ex. However you look at it, people who you couldn't connect with previously are now in position to be attracted. And that's why R.E.A, which stands for Recover, Improve, Attract, is something that you as a dumpy are going through slowly but surely, and your ex-dumper is against time. It's a race against time for them, because if they don't realise they've made a mistake, if they don't want to try and reconnect with you and come back into your life, well, guess what? You will find someone even better. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast. Please like this video if you're watching on YouTube, and if you have the new hype feature, please hype this video as well. If you like my content, subscribe to the channel to keep updated. And point number 2 is growth discrepancy. Now you might not feel it at this point in time, but you as a dumpy have an advantage over your ex, and that is that dumpies tend to grow more than dumpers. From the research I've done over the years, a dumpy is much more likely to grow as a person in comparison to their dumper. And this ties in with human psychology. We're much more likely to do something from a place of pain when we felt that pain point than in comparison to if we feel like our life is going somewhat okay. So let's just break down the positions that you and your ex are in. You as a dumpy, you've been heartbroken due to being dumped. That is a huge pain point, okay? You're experiencing something very, very challenging right now. You're really going through the grind, but as I've just said, you're much more likely to therefore want to start growing as a person. You're going to have that impetus to move forward, to be motivated, to change that pain and alter it into a rocket fuel to push forward. Now, whereas your dumper, unfortunately for them, but good for you, is going through life feeling somewhat okay. Now, that might sound a bit of a strange way of describing it. Unfortunately for them, but it's kind of going okay, but great for you. I mean, why would you be happy that their life is going somewhat okay, whereas you are going through the grind? Well, it goes back to what I said a few moments ago. When people are living a life that is so-so, that is okay, maybe even better than that, they are not likely to find that motivation to push forward. They don't have that same pain point. So they are not going to be growing, certainly not the way that you will be growing, certainly not on that trajectory, certainly not at that pace. Your ex-dumper made a decision to end your relationship. They were not feeling good about it at that time. But beyond that, they are likely, certainly initially at least, going to be feeling that life is okay, because they're going to be living the life they felt they wanted to live. Maybe they're going to see it as more than okay. Either way, they have no real drive, no real need to start growing. So what does this mean as we move into the medium and longer term? Well, what we will see is that you as a dumpy will actually outgrow them. So whether or not your ex-dumper felt they had outgrown you and hence they ended the relationship, well, even if that was the case, you're going to catch them up and you are going to surpass them. Again, this is why your ex the dumper is running out of time, because if they don't reconnect with you soon, you will be the one who decides you don't want to be with them. It might sound astonishing to think, it might sound incredible, it might not even sound believable, but I've heard this time and time again, where a dumper comes back into the life of a dumpee, and the dumpee thinks, thanks but no thanks, I actually don't want to be with you right now. So even if you don't believe you would ever do that, trust me, you will get to the stage of where this is possible. Now, if you would like advice and support about how to try and increase the chance of one day getting your ex back, then you may want to consider my audio coaching service, where me and you can speak one-on-one about your unique specific situation. Go to my website www.dateme.tips for more information about how I can become your coach and your teammate via my audio coaching service. Talking about your feelings can also improve your mental health. It helps prevent the buildup of negative emotions, which can lead to stress, anxiety, depression, and even physical health issues. Speak your heart to free your mind. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast. If you feel that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description. And point number 3 is stage 3, Dumpee. Now in point number 2 towards the end, I was saying that you will get to the stage of where you say thanks but no thanks to your ex. And you might think that's unbelievable. You might think that's crazy. But this is how I will explain it to you to show how one day you will become a stage 3 dumpee. Now at the time of a breakup, when you were dumped, you became a stage 1 dumpee. It's just happened, it's fresh, and it's incredibly painful. You're going to be thinking about your ex 24/7. You're going to be thinking of them as the only one you want. They are your king, or they are your queen. They are the only person you can ever imagine in your life. You don't want anybody else. You're not looking at anybody else. You're not going on with dating apps. You're not going to consider any other option other than your dumper. If you can't have your dumper, then you will live alone forever. That's what you're telling everybody. That is how you feel. That is a stage 1 dumpee. Now, as time moves forward, things will start to alter. Now, this is really important to understand. There is no set time limit. You might be a stage 1 dumpee for a month. You might be a stage 1 dumpee for a year. There is no rule. But over time, you will evolve from a stage 1 dumpee into a stage 2 dumpee. And this is where you are actually open to dating other people. You don't actually want to be with them forever because you want your ex back still. You're still thinking of your dumper a lot. You crave them still, but you're thinking, well, whilst I'm waiting to reconnect with them, I may as well date other people. So for the first time, you are now considering going on the dating apps theoretically, or meeting someone in another way, and you are open to dating, you are open to potentially being intimate, but you're making sure that the door is left wide open for your ex. So you will not allow you and them, you and this new person in your life, to build anything substantial. Maybe you say, I'm only looking for something casual. Maybe you're saying I only want friends with benefits. Maybe you're not really explaining it at all, but in your mind, you know you will not let this get serious. You will not allow this to go beyond what you feel comfortable with, because if your ex dumper texts you, you're going to jump ship. If they text you, you're going to say bye to this new person and reconnect with your ex. That is how you feel as a stage 2 dumpee. You're happy to date, but you are not happy to be in a relationship where you lock away the possibility of reconnecting with your ex. And this can last, again, similar to stage 1, this could be a period of time which varies hugely. You might be in stage 2 for a month or so. You could be in stage 2 for a further year. Everybody is different. What we can say, though, is that eventually you will move into stage 3. And this is what we're talking about in point number 3, stage 3 dumpee. When you are a stage 3 dumpee, you finally meet someone who shocks you. And they shock you because they are someone that you never thought you would meet. Someone that you actually deem better than your ex. all of a sudden, you don't want to leave the door open to your ex because you're now thinking, I'm actually happy with this new person I've met. So all of a sudden, you've come to this conclusion that the person you've just met, or the person that you've got to know over a period of time, shall we say, this person now means more to you than you actually wanted them to, because now you don't want to leave that door open. You don't want your ex to come back into your life. You're happy with who you found. So in essence, being a stage 3 dumpee is where you absolutely accept the fact that you have found someone better than your ex. You're no longer stage 2 where you're leaving that door open. Now you're happy to close the door, lock it, and throw away the key. So what happens at this point if your ex-dumper does contact you? Because they might contact you forevermore. It doesn't have to be within a few months. Your ex-dumper could reach out after a few years. Yes, the chances reduce after a year or so, but it happens still. I hear of it fairly frequently. So if your ex-dumper reaches out to you and you're a stage 3 dumpee, this is where you will say thanks but no thanks, if you say anything at all, because ultimately one day you will reject them. Now, if you live in the USA and want to support my channel, please consider shopping at Calvin Klein using the affiliate link in the description. Calvin Klein is a fantastic brand to help both men and women look great and feel confident. As a Calvin Klein affiliate, I may earn a commission if you make a purchase at no extra cost to you. Thank you for your support.